1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey, let's go now.
To be up, it is himself, the Irish Hotspur. David, what's going on, my man?
How we lads? How we keeping? I was just watching the UFC, and I had this on in the background, so I said, look, Will, you've been nothing but nice to me, man. You've shown me nothing but support and love, so why not come on and return the favour?
Who's winning the fight, man?
It's not the last time you're going to see me here either. I'm a night owl compared to the time over here. I don't go to sleep to maybe 4 or 5 in the morning, so look, what better way to do it than talk about Tottenham with my American and Canadian friends and audience.
Yeah,
David, you're a vampire. Swear to God, you're a vampire. Listen, I was watching your stream earlier, and I thought that you absolutely roasted Marcelo on the debate. I didn't think Marcelo made any actual tangible points. And, whatever. It's like picking between your two favorite children if you're a fan of watching Tottenham Hotspur online. But, yeah, absolutely. And cheers, bud. The stream last night was brilliant. It really was. The in-depth view into the last 8 to 10 years of what's gone on at this club. I thought it was, I learned quite a bit because if I'm being honest, I can't say that I would have been able to just rattle off all that stuff. And it was very informative. So excellent stream last night.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, no. Look, first of all, with Marcelo, look, it's not about roasting Marcelo. I never wanted to be about that. I do want it to be a debate. But look, like all my thing is if you're going to hold Jose Mourinho to these standards when you didn't hold your previous manager to them standards, you're not really being fair, are you? And this is where I'm coming from. And what I tried to do with that stream that I actually created last night, look, that was something I actually had in the works for a while. But I parked it. I parked it because I wanted to support the team out through to the end of the season. But when I seen how easy, the fan base can kind of just say these things, and over streams, I haven't been able to get out my stance on it and where I've really been coming from. So that's why last night I had to do the stream on my own, and I had to have it all written down because there's too much to remember as well, and I had to get it out there from my point of view. And look, it worked in my opinion because a lot of people are now awake to it. Awake to the core issue at the club. And, even down to the things of bringing in Nagelsmann and Rodgers. Look, Pochettino was a one-system man, doesn't change his way. Like Will has said before, and I did rob that stat from Will, by the way, from that November to the following November when he got sacked, we would have been relegated. So if Nagelsmann and Rodgers don't change their system, well, what do you think is going to happen with this same group of players? Do you know what I mean? And this is the thing, and even to this thing of but we can still get rid of Mourinho and do a rebuild in the summer. So with Mourinho, we're already 2 years down from this painful rebuild we're supposed to go through. You bring in the likes of Nagelsmann, it's another 5-year rebuild. It's going to be probably 3 years before you see any benefit from that, really, in terms of challenging for Champions League again, in my opinion. But why would you do that when you can do a shorter rebuild under Mourinho? The best defensive coach in the world. This is all the Jose out people's argument.
Amen.
The best defensive coach in the world.
Honestly,
that's not what we need at Tottenham. But why would you not give him the money then to improve your defense when it's your biggest Achilles heel?
Changing the manager is not going to solve the problem, and that's what you've been saying. And I totally believe what you're saying. So we need to invest. We can all acknowledge that. You tell me who is going to win the Premier League with fucking Eric Dyer and Davinson Sanchez as their top 2 center backs, and Toby Alderweireld is right there as well. But when the thing is, if you build a club and the defensive line is going to be at the base of the foundation, you can win games with a good defense and a bad striker, but you can't win with a good striker and a bad defense. You fucking can't. You can't consistently win. So, yeah, absolutely. Sacking Jose is not the answer. Absolutely not.
I do want to make one thing clear as well. Sorry, Will, just quickly.
No, go ahead.
Look, anyone that thinks I'm a Mourinho fan, look, I was always a Tottenham Hotspur fan. 100% always was and always will be. But I just think sacking Mourinho is not in the best interest of Tottenham Hotspur because, like I also explained, you're going to lose Kane, you're going to lose Son, Toby Alderweireld and Lloris, and that makes the rebuild even bigger. And this is the problem because, like, even if you look back to the documentary, Kane stayed. The noises he was making before he came into the club, like he had that interview with Jamie Redknapp, and he was saying, look, as long as Tottenham are progressing, I'll stay, but if not, I might have to leave to go and look to win trophies. Mourinho came in, the first thing he done was pull Kane into his office. It was that documentary. Stick with me, I'll turn you into the best player in the world. Now, he's not going to ask Kane to stick with him if he's only here for short term. That's my opinion. But Kane also stayed and hasn't mentioned anything about leaving since because of Mourinho. Alderweireld, when he signed his new contract, came out and said, I'm signing my new contract and I'm staying, which no one could get him to do before Mourinho came in. And he clearly stated, because I've always wanted to work with Jose Mourinho. So he stayed because of Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
This is the team.
To me, this is one of the biggest holes in the argument that Marcelo was trying to make on your stream earlier, is that, you know, and he was just pulling numbers out of his ass, let's face it, but he was trying to say that Jose had lost 70% of the room. Well, you tell me, out of those players, do you think Harry Kane's vote should be worth 1-to-1? Do you think Harry Kane's vote should be worth the same as Matt Doherty's? Right? If every single player in that dressing room is against Jose, but Harry is on board, I'm going with Harry Kane as a Spurs fan. That's what I think.
I mean, you have to. Him and Son are the only two people we can't really afford to lose, and we're at the biggest risk. And after you and David, after you finish your point, I want to go in. I want to kind of take this talk into that direction, because I think that if things don't go well, or if Jose were to go, you're at a bigger risk of losing Son than anything. And we can talk about that in a minute, but go ahead and finish your thought on what you guys were talking about earlier.
Just even with Son, look, he hasn't signed his contract. Is that because there is so much talk about Mourinho? You don't know. And this is the thing. You know how much his father has invested in Son. He lives with Son. You know what I mean? He tells Son what he can and can't have in his apartment. Do you know what I mean?
He tells him when he can and can't get married.
Documentary?
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, madness. But the thing is, like, you can also guarantee his father is in his son's ear saying, look, we put all this time in so you can win things, so you can win trophies. You know what I mean? And that ultimately, when you're players of that caliber, it's going to come down to that when your next contract is rolling around. It's a big decision. Okay, do I stick and become a club legend, or do I like all the effort, time I've put in to develop myself, the amount I've helped this team? You know what I mean? Big games, the amount of times I've turned up and okay, I've bottled it in the end, but do I have the caliber of players around me to get me over this line? To you know what I mean? To help me on these big occasions. So that all has to be brought into it. It's all well and good coming on and saying Mourinho out and he's lost the dressing room and he's not doing this and he's not doing that. But like what I tried to do with my stream yesterday was just take yourself out of the immediate argument to Jose in, Jose out, why, everyone's reasons why, and look at the bigger picture. And when I went back and looked at the players, when I went back and looked at Poch's era and found, that look, when he started losing his best players, because it's a narrative, but Poch got more out of these. But when I went back and really looked into it, and his best players left, and he had to rely on the likes of Winks and Sissoko, because let's face it, most of his 11s up until them players were either sold, whatever the reasons, their injuries, everything else. It was more or less you could pick that 11 every week. It was more or less the same 11, bar one or two in and out. But when he had to rely on the likes of Sissoko and Winks as a partnership in midfield when Yama and Dembele's knees were busted, what happened? Results stopped and it cost Poch his job. And this is the thing. And now they're going to do the same for another manager. Now, my position is two of the greatest and most in-demand managers in world football, Pochettino and Jose Mourinho. Well, they both can't be bad managers, can they?
No, you're right. And I mean, this kind of came up yesterday too. And when we were when Jason and I were talking, not quite as organized as how you put it in your stream, yesterday, but
that's fine, man. Believe me.
Yeah. As we were just kind of going through and just ranting along about different things, I mean, we hit on a lot of the topics that you hit on. And I agree with it, 100%, especially for that aspect of it. And, kind of getting into this son aspect. And for people that don't know, if you're not watching, I lived in Korea for 13 years. I speak fluent Korean. Not only do I watch a lot of, because like I watch you, David, I watch Charlie, I watch Matt, I watch, the boys, Sim
You give everyone
and
support,
Ben.
Matt, and I think you're going to get that repaid. I can tell you that now.
I go everywhere only because I'm an absolute sponge for knowledge, right? And I love this club so much. I mean, this is just my office, for crying out loud. You should see my kids' room and my other rooms and my closet, right? I mean, because I feel as an American fan, I can't go to the games every week. I can't be a season ticket holder. So the only way that I can support the club is
I'm only across the pond, and I still can't get there every week. I can only get over once or twice a year. But some people label us armchair fans, but we're not really, are we?
No, I mean, because I wake up, like I was telling Cody earlier, waking up at 7:00 in the morning to watch a match, and I feel like that. I always buy like the pro version of the shirt or the elite version of the shirt, at least one, if not two or three, just depends on how good they look. Like for this particular season, I think I have all three, first, second, and third, just because it was a good year. This year, I'm not a huge fan of I have the yellow shirt, but I don't have the other two. I'm not a huge fan of those, but I just try to buy as much stuff from TottenhamHotspur.com as I can to support the club, because all that money goes right back into transfers. Yeah, it goes into what to help building the club, to help paying for the stadium, to help us getting in new players. And the thing that concerns me the most is I watch just as many channels in Korean as I do in English, right? Just because I'm just, especially around this time, and before I started doing the show, this was the time that I really started watching a lot of the Korean channels, because like in Korea right now, it's, 1:00 in the afternoon, right? So, I really have gotten to hear, and you have to understand that there's a cultural aspect to Korea too. And like a nationalistic pride is really important. Yeah. And he has that whole weight. Yeah, he has exactly like Colin McGregor. He has this entire country on his shoulders, screaming, and every newspaper, every magazine, every social media post in Korean is, this club's coming after Son, right? I mean, a couple weeks ago, it was Juventus. During the winter break, it was Real Madrid. Right now they're talking about Barcelona. And they all want a lot of the Korean fan base, and I would say probably 95%, right? Because you do have some Korean fans that support Arsenal or Man United is another big one, or Liverpool and stuff like that. But 95% of the Koreans who are supporting Tottenham are Son Heung-min fans. They're not Tottenham Hotspur fans. It's different, right? It's different. They follow the player. It's almost kind of even like American sports are a lot like that, where, you got a lot of people who are Tom Brady fans for the New England Patriots, and now they're Tom Brady fans for the, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? Like their loyalty really follows the players more than it follows the club itself or the team itself. And they're really, 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 really pushing for, him to move. And that noise has been going on for probably since after the Champions League final loss. That was really when the noise started kicking up. And then we were top of the league, it kind of died down. You stopped seeing a lot of, Korean comments and We Are Tottenham TV's chats, after the matches. But then, when we went on that 5-6 runs, like anytime we start going bad, the paper, and it's not just fans on social media, it's the newspapers, the TV programs, wow. It's Talk Sports and everybody else, all over the place in Korea, and there's some cultural weight there. There's a lot of pressure for him because he's, Park Ji-sung is a national hero.
Yeah.
in Korea for what he did at the 2002 World Cup and what he did for Man United, right? And Song Heung-min, like this past World Cup, got so much hate from Korean fans because they went out. The whole country blames him, not anyone else on the team, him. And they want him, they expect him to be the first Korean player to play for, Real Madrid, or the first Korean player to play for Barcelona, right? These are firsts, right, for Korean players. And, it's a huge thing for folks over there. I mean, and I just think it's kind of silly that a lot of Tottenham fans, just kind of blindly trust, oh, no, son loves the club, right? And they're talking about, who's that Italian media guy that always does all the
Fabrizio Romano.
Fabrizio Romano. And he's like, no, son's happy. He's going to sign a contract. I'm telling you right now, this has nothing to do with, he's not going to come out and say the things that I'm saying right now. These are cultural expectations that you can't escape from if you're a Korean. If you had lived in Korea for 13 years, you would understand, right? Like, let's say you were, the first Irish player to ever play for Barcelona and win a Champions League, right? The amount of, the pressure that like when Conor McGregor loses, all of Ireland feels like they've lost, right? It's that kind of feeling.
Look, I can fully understand that, and I can fully understand the importance of it, because coming from a small isle, look, anyone that makes it, no matter in what capacity, you know what I mean? The whole weight of the nation goes behind it. The whole way. Look, our fans are revered all over the world, even when we travel to international competitions, because just the sheer amount of look, you're never going there expecting anything, but we go there in numbers to back our boys. Look, even that World Cup in America, oh man, look, I don't really remember too much of it. Bit before my time, but look, my old lad tells me, and look, I know people that were out there and all. The support out in America for Ireland was crazy. It was crazy, and the amount of Irish that go, Irish flock around, and I can understand where it comes from the way of the nation, and I can fully understand it, and it is something that people have to take into account, because, look, as loyal as Son wants to be, you can still have love for Tottenham, but ultimately, the weight of a nation does play on you, and it does kind of dictate your next move, in a sense. Like, it's huge. Another point you were touching on there, Will, just about, like, the times that you get up for and off for the games. And before I actually started YouTube, it's never really something that, I knew we had a worldwide fan base, but I never really took in consideration the dedication that you go through to watch games, right? Because, like, for instance, you could have a day's work, you could sleep. So some days there could be maybe a match on at 5 o'clock in the morning. You're getting up watching that, and then you probably have a full day's work. Do you know what I mean? It's insane. It's insane. I could only imagine putting that commitment in. It's madness. Like, the passion that you guys show for the club is honestly, it's nuts. It's nuts, and it's not something I was aware of before YouTube, but since starting YouTube, it's given me a whole new found respect for the worldwide global fan base that some of the times people wake up for just to tune in and watch Tottenham, even though it's painful sometimes, but they still do it religiously. It's crazy.
Thanks for watching this THFC rant short. If you want to watch the full-length version of this stream, make sure to find it in our streaming playlist, and don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you can find us every single time that we go live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. Stay strong, stay Spurs, and we'll see you next time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's go now.